Hey there everyone, welcome to my new tea time episode. I know it's been a while since the last time I posted the tea time sewing. I'm not gonna give you too many excuses, but life happens. So today I decided to simply press that record button and make myself a cup of tea and have fun with you. Today we're gonna make the Japanese rice bag. So the Japanese rice bag is a boxy style drawstring bag that is really unique and really fun to make. I did make one Japanese rice bag pattern last Christmas, if you remember the Cheer You Up project. I really like that bag. It was very cute and functional, very spacious. Right now, it is in my son's room. He used that to store his wooden blocks. So I've been wanting to make more of it, but just never really get a chance to. This time, we're gonna work with jelly roll strips. You will need to sew 4 jelly roll strips together with 1/4 inch of seam allowance. I think I mentioned this many times before. When you sew a bunch of strips together, I recommend to change the direction of the sewing every so often, just so you will not end up with a wavy fabric. For example, if you start sewing from this side, you want to start the next strip on the opposite side, and so on and so forth. Once you've done sewing your strips, of course, you will need to give it a good pressing. You can either press it open or press it towards one side. It doesn't really matter. Now, if everything lays flat, this fabric should measure 8.5 inch wide. So now we're gonna cut this. So here I've got my rotary cutter and my ruler, and I'm ready to do the cutting. I have to stand up because I just don't know how to cut while sitting down. So first I'm gonna cut the selvage ends, just so we have a nice and clean edges. All right, now I'm going to measure 8.5 inch. I'm going to align the edges of my jelly roll strip to the 8.5 inch point right here, and then I'm gonna cut. All right, so let's cut. Voila. So I'm gonna go ahead and make 3 more of this. So now I'm going to measure another 8.5 inch. So here I've already cut 4 8.5 inch squares from my jelly roll fabric. You will also need to cut 6 8.5 inch squares for the interior of the bag and also for the bottom base of the exterior. And also you will need 5 8.5 inch squares batting. You may also use fusible fleece instead of batting. Now take the batting, and then you want to take one of the exterior piece and then lay that right side down. Now, if you prefer to cut your batting a slight larger to give you a little more room, feel free to do so. Now, I'm just going to pop a couple of pins to hold this layer together, and then you can quilt this as desired. So I'm just going to quilt this with my walking foot, just simple straight stitches. Alright guys, here I've already quilted all of my exterior pieces, including the bottom base, of course. And if there is any excess batting that's sticking out after you quilted your fabric, simply trim that off and straighten up all the edges. Now we're going to prepare the drawstring tab or the casing for the drawstring. So you want to cut 4 pieces of rectangles measuring 5 inch by 3 inch. And then you want to hem the short edges. So you want to first fold this towards the wrong side, about 1/4 inch. And then fold that one more time. And of course you want to press and do the same to the opposite side. And once you've done that, you want to go ahead and stitch along the edges with about 1/8 inch of seam allowance, or as close as you can to the folded edges. And then we're going to fold this in half lengthwise, wrong sides together, of course. Just like that. And then press. Now you want to position the drawstring tab on the top center edge of the exterior piece. You can easily spot the center point from these center seams. So you just simply lay this on the right side. Of course, you want to center the position. And then put one clip to hold this in place. And then we're gonna stitch this in place with 1/4 inch of seam allowance. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and repeat the same for the rest of the tabs. For the drawstring strap, we're gonna use 2 jelly roll strips, and what you wanna do, you wanna trim off the edges a little bit, like about a couple of inches, get rid of the selvage ends, and then you wanna fold and press exactly like when you make a strap. So you wanna start by folding the short end towards the wrong side about 1/2 inch, and then do the same with the other end, so you will not have any raw edges sticking out. And then just fold this in half, and then fold the long sides towards the center fold, and then you want to press, of course, and then fold everything in half again. And that's it. I'm pretty sure you already know how to do this. And then you want to go ahead and sew this all around with 1/8 inch of seam allowance. So I used 2 different color jelly roll strips just to make it more fun. Alternatively, if you want to do shortcut, you can also use bias tape instead, like 1/2 inch bias tape or 5/8 inch bias tape. Simply cut 2 bias tape 40 inches long and then stitch along the edges, and you're good to go. Alright guys, so here I've already sewn my drawstring straps. Now we're going to assemble the exterior of the back. So you want to go ahead and take one of your exterior piece and then take one more and lay them right sides together. So you want to make sure that the drawstring tab are touching each other or facing up. And then we're going to stitch along one of the side, the right hand side, with 3/8 inch of seam allowance. So you only need to sew one side, okay? And you should end up with something like this. Now you want to take the other exterior piece and lay that right side down on one of the side, on the right hand side. And then again, you want to stitch along the side with 3/8 inch of seam allowance. And there you go. You should end up with something like this. Now we're going to take the last piece. And again, guys, you want to lay this right side down. Alright, so you should end up with something like this. Again, you want to make sure that all the drawstring tabs are positioned on the top edges. Next, we're going to fold this in half, right sides together, forming a loop. So the short edges should be touching each other, and you want to align them. And then go ahead and stitch with 3/8 inch of seam allowance. So you should end up with something like this. Now you want to take the bottom base, and then we're going to attach this to the bottom part of the back. So I've got my fabric with the bottom side up, and I'm going to put my bottom base right side down, just like that. And then I'm just going to clip them in place. Alright guys, here I've already clipped my bottom base. Now I'm going to go ahead and sew all around with 3/8 inch of seam allowance. So you may want to do this one side at a time. And don't be afraid at all at the corner. It may look a little tricky, but it's really not complicated. The key is to get the corner stitched through. This way you won't have any hole in your bag. Alright, so here I've already sewn the bottom base of my exterior. So let's turn this inside out so we can see our progress. Alright, this is looking amazing already. So this is how it looks. Now you want to assemble the interior of the bag pretty much the same way. However, you want to leave about 4 to 5 inches of opening at the bottom base in order to turn the bag inside out later. Now that we've got both the exterior and the interior ready to go, it's time to assemble them, of course. Now let's turn the bag exterior wrong side out. Now I'm going to insert the interior into the exterior. So first I like to match the seams and then clip. And I'm gonna do the same to all the seams. So the right sides of your interior and the right sides of the exterior should be touching each other at this point. And once everything is secured, we're gonna sew all around with 3/8 inch of seam allowance. Now it's time to turn this bag inside out. or so they say, birthing the bag. Now, if you want to, you can head over to your ironing board and press the edges to make it nice and neat. I'm just gonna finger press this. And then we're gonna go ahead and top stitch all around the top edges. Once you've done top stitching the top edges of your bag, it's time to close the opening. Just like the usual, you want to fold the raw edges of the opening hole towards the wrong side, of course, about 3/8 of an inch, or the same as the seam allowances. And then we're going to stitch along the edges to close the opening. Now we're going to thread the straps. So you want to start from one of the tab. I'm going to start from this side. It doesn't really matter which side you start. So I'm threading the end of my strap into one of the tab. If you want to use safety pin to make it easier to go through, you can do that. Once you've got to where you started, you want to pull the drawstring evenly and make a knot at the end. Now you want to thread the second strap starting from the opposite side from where you thread the first strap. Since I started from here, I'm going to start the second strap from this side, which is the opposite of the knot. So here I've already got to the opposite side. So now let's go ahead and make the knot. So you can see here that one of the knot is on my left hand side and the other knot is on my right hand side. So if you want to close the back, you want to simply pull the drawstring and voila! And look how neat it is. It's so simple, it's so pretty. So thank you so much for watching today's tea time episode. I really appreciate your sticking around to the end. So I will put together a PDF for the cutting instructions if that's gonna be easier for you. So I'll see you next time. Goodbye.